The WNBA Commissioner's Cup Championship was last night. Lynx versus Liberty, and the Lynx took the win. Going into it, I had Liberty. I'll just be honest with you. Just looking at their last five, the Lynx won all five. Liberty won all but one. The Lynx, their scoring was all over the place from the 60s to 70s, the 80s, the 90s, even into the 100s. The Liberty consistently in the 90s. One thing that was consistent about the Lynx is their defense, has been all season. But I still was taking the Liberty at home. Normally you go with defense over offense, but I was taking the Liberty at home. The fact that they lost the finals last year and they're just like that determined team that wants to come back and get it, kind of like the Boston Celtics this year. The fact that Vandersloot was back, I took the Liberty, but I was wrong. They did hit 89, which is very close to their normal scoring. But Jonquel Jones, 0 for 3. Very much an aberration. That's an outlier. Wasn't expecting that. They couldn't come back from that. They also got very much outplayed by the bench. Vandersloot, even though she was back, her and Burke combined for 9 points. Minnesota, they had 21 total from the bench. So that was one thing. Also, the turnover battle, 11 to 21 in the Lynx's favor. Now, we know the WNBA doesn't call a whole lot of fouls, but most teams, they get away with the contact at the rim. The Lynx, they get away with the contact at the perimeter. They spam that square button. If you play 2K, you know what I mean. And so that turns into points for them. Very smart on their behalf, because we know in all pro leagues, they're not going to call every foul. They can't call every foul. That's not entertaining. So they get away with what they get away with. Other teams do the same, but they choose better what to get away with. The ball's never safe. They're poking and swiping at the thing every single time. So congrats on them. And I watched them maybe 5 or 6 times this season, and it's been the same thing every single time. That's going to play well in the playoffs, that consistent defensive effort and sides. That's really what gave Ionescu a problem, the size of Carlton. Probably why Nafisha Collier was right when she said that Carlton should have been the player of the game. She had 23 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 6 for 8 from 3, 8 for 10 on field goals. I mean, Collier, she was no slouch, never is. She had 21, 6 rebounds, that is, 3 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. The highest plus minus on the team. So I can understand why she got it. But Carlton's defense on Ionescu was a big difference maker. An X factor to me. Ionescu had 4 assists and 7 turnovers. Some of them were questionable, just on her decision making. Very questionable. But she did have the highest plus minus on her team. The only starter to have a positive plus minus with +8. She had 23 points, 10 rebounds. Like I said, 4 assists and 7 turnovers, 2 steals. She played well, besides the 2 for 11 from 3, but she was 10 for 21 overall for a point guard, almost 50% from the field goal range. That's nice. But Jonquel Jones, 0 for 3 field goals. 0 for 3 from the field, 12 rebounds, just 3 points. Hard to win when one of your big three isn't big at all there. So, turnover battle, the bench got outplayed, and defense. That was a story of the game. Congrats to the Lynx. Now, that game does not count on the standings, nor do the stats, so it has no repercussions there, but it does show that the Lynx and the Liberty are right there at the top of the league. And when I said that Connecticut shouldn't be number 2 or number 1 on people's power rankings, you know what? We won't go there because ESPN already moved them down to 3. They just were a week behind me, so we'll take that. So I was wrong on the game. Lynx won. And overall, besides New York's turnovers, a well-played game, though. The Lynx, they shot 48% from 3. New York, they shot 41% from 3. All right, so Lynn Dunn and the Indiana Fever, they waived Celeste Taylor. And if you're subscribed to this channel, you already know how I feel about Taylor. I've said it more than 10 times this season. You know, 2-time player of the year in different conferences, defensive player of the year in different conferences in college. Never really got a chance on the court. As far as the WA is concerned, wasn't going to let it ruin my day. I've been watching a lot of Olympic trials. I was watching Stanley Cup, America Cup, things like that. Wasn't going to get on here and let them get my blood pressure raised up because, of course, you know, I don't agree with the move. My thinking is, yes, they needed another forward, but during all of this time that they needed another forward, they had one in Saxton who couldn't get on the floor. So what's the purpose of keeping her now that Fag Bentley's going to be back and you're bringing in Damaris Dantas? If she couldn't get on the floor without those two, She's not going to get on the floor with those two. So the way Celeste Taylor, I'm not sure what the business model of the WNBA is, but I don't know. It just seems like you cannibalizing your young. She has an active fan base, never really had a chance. She has potential. And you swap that out for a 31-year-old coming in with a bad knee who hasn't played since 2022 and only averaged 5 points back when she did play. Only played 15 games. I'm not sure what the business model here is, but all right. I'm pretty sure Celeste Taylor has more active fans at this point in time than Saxton and Dantas put together, which I know it's not all about fans, but it's also about potential too. You haven't given her a chance to realize any of it. She was the 15th pick in the draft. This isn't like, she was the bottom of the draft. So I don't agree with the move, obviously. I don't think it's wise when you preach a defense for the last 48 hours, as you say, that's all you've been thinking about is defense. And then you try a defensive player. I don't think it's wise to be swapping out your young. It's a lot of potential to keep bringing back these old, slow players. But they want to keep the game old, slow, and big. I get it. So those are my thoughts on it. Not going to get too up about it. Not going to fake positive and optimistic about it. I'm just going to be even keeled and say, I don't agree with it, but we'll see how it goes. All right. Congratulations, Fever and Demiris Dantes, I suppose. What I'm certain about, though, is I don't want to hear another thing about defense from Christy Size or anybody from the Indiana Fever front office. As far as the perimeter defense goes, guards, like you have what you have. You know what you have. You chose Mitchell, you chose Willard, you chose Wallace. They play how they play at this point. So do not come and give lip service about I've been thinking about defense for the last 48 hours. Well, like nobody wants to hear it at this point. All right. So that's that on that. So we've had an ongoing discussion now in the comments to some of my videos about whether or not Chrissy Size has mandated that Caitlin Clark get the ball out of her hands, play through Aaliyah Boston and other players like that. The fact that Caitlin Clark has only had 11 shots, 12 shots for the last 4 games, and do we think that that is due to the fact that Chrissy Size is forcing that upon her? Now, I haven't felt that way. I felt that Caitlin Clark has been passing up some shots that she could take, some plays that are drawn up for her, and also getting it out of her hands just a little bit too quickly, dribbling the ball up the court. I watch a lot of Liberty. I watch the way Sabrina Ionescu goes for 27 and 10. Wow. Brianna Stewart will go for 30 and 15. Wow. Jonquel will go for 15 and 10. And I know that Caitlin Clark can both facilitate and score at the same time in the same game without having to sacrifice either. So some of it comes down, in my opinion, to her being a little too unselfish. Chrissy Sides echoed that. I know some of you don't give a damn about what Chrissy Sides has to say right now, but let's just listen to it.
Yeah, I think sometimes she's being a little too unselfish at times. I think she had 13 assists the other night against Chicago. I mean, she is going, if you're open, she's going to hit you. I think she turns down some shots. I'd like her to take some shots that when she comes off, she knows she has the green light.
Is there like a magic?
All right, now some people are going to take that and say that she's throwing Caitlin under the bus. I don't. I think she's publicly giving her the green light. I think some people are trying to put a negative spin on this comment when you should look at it as a great thing, honestly. She's publicly in front of everybody, the fans, the team, everyone letting her know that Caitlin has the green light to shoot those shots that we love her to shoot, especially coming across half court and pulling up before you have a set defense just staring you down. All right? I would love to see Caitlin take advantage of that green light now. So to me, that wraps up that discussion. Now, that doesn't mean that Chrissy Sides is off the hook, because I also heard comments where she said she hasn't even congratulated Caitlin Clark on becoming only the second 2-time Hondo Award winner since Maya Moore. And to me, that's egregious. You had a whole Aaliyah Boston t-shirt on and everything when she won Player of the Week. I'm not even sure you guys did that much when Caitlin won Rookie of the Month. But for sure, this is a big deal, and it should be treated as such. And for us to receive that answer, I don't know, maybe if they had some surprise plan that they just hadn't done yet and she was playing coy. But if not, that's ridiculous. And honestly, it should have been done already, seeing as how you guys are already together at shoot around yesterday. completely disappointed in the franchise once again, especially seeing as how she had to miss the ceremony to play the game. She couldn't even go to the award ceremony, which is, a big thing for her. Obviously, being a professional basketball player, sometimes you have to miss those things. But for the team not to even step up and do something for her in that regard to celebrate her, it says a lot to me, though. It says a lot about how the franchise is run. It says a lot about the sentiment towards Caitlin Clark, just around the building in general. I just wish better for her, but I'll leave it there. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you guys for subscribing. Lots of new subscribers. I've almost hit my goal of 10,000. All right, I'm far from my goal of 10,000, but almost at 5,000, So I'll take that. I appreciate all you guys. Until the next one, you guys have a great day. Peace.